Dragons?
Yeah.
Nah.
It's a 50-50 game.
I love the Dogs. I actually like Kyle Flanagan. He's a nice bloke. Been nothing but nice to the boys. And he's just a victim of not really having the troops. If you've been dropped 3 times in 3 years, though,
It's pretty rough.
it's pretty rough for him. I think he'll probably do what Matt Duffy's have done and the Paul Vaughns and maybe go over to England. We should probably talk about that in the show. But
Yeah, we talk about what the game.
The game?
Changes in the team.
yeah, but I think Reynolds will be experienced for him. But he's not the answer. He's not the long-term answer. They should go and sign Mitchell Pearce.
Yeah, we would.
Lachlan Murray said, how'd you boys go playing poker when you're up in Goldie?
Not good, Lachlan. I think you know that. That's why you're asking.
Yeah, I did okay.
I blew through mine pretty
I'm a
quickly.
1-3 player. Just graduated to 2-5. Played 2-5 at the Crown, Texas Hold'em. Got up about bucks personal. Welcome to another episode of Prime Time. I've got Nick beside me, Jaden off the bench. We're going to be previewing the next round of NRL. Quick turnaround because we just had the Anzac Day games. It's a good weekend of sport, good week of paying our respects to the Anzacs. We got on a couple of beers yesterday, played some tour, lost, but we didn't lose as much as the Anzacs.
Of course not.
So,
greatest day of the year, Anzac Day. My favourite public holiday.
For me, I think it goes Christmas, Anzac Day, Easter.
Yeah.
Easter's normally pretty good because you get like the 10 days off through work.
But even as a religious man, I'd rather celebrate
I mean,
Anzac Day.
I did my ass in playing tour.
Yeah.
I did not win. I was down the whole day. But at least...
Up and down, it was longevity throughout the day. It was like lose 100 here, maybe go on a bit of a run.
But betting on sport made it all the more better.
Mm-hmm.
All the games. NRL, Roosters game, close game. Yes, they nearly bottled it at the end, but they still won. Storm Warriors was a great game. And in the AFL, Collingwood pulling off a miraculous comeback.
All big crowds as well.
I love it.
Allianz was packed out yesterday. We were down there. Now, I want to check our fan question of the week because it's usually one of our most watched segments on socials. Longevity. What's our fan question for the week, Jay?
Fan question of the week comes from Jacob Tuma, and it is, has this year been the worst refereed NRL season?
Has this been the worst ref season? I think yes. I mean, the refs have copped it so much this year. It's all their own fault. I mean, the hip drop tackles just come in this year. I don't know why it's become such a big thing. And then you look at the sin bins. Anytime someone's touching someone's head, they're getting sent off for 10. Then on the weekend, getting Victor Radley sent in the bin was one of the worst calls ever. So I think, yes, it has been the worst ref season ever.
I don't know. I reckon each season starts off the same. Maybe because it's so recent to us. I remember the crackdowns of contact to the head. Remember all those years ago where they went really hard at Magic Round. They were bringing the 10 in the bin back. I think this has been probably the most sin bins in the first 8 rounds.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that.
Which definitely means the refs are taking too much control over the game. Even the amount of 6 to goes with not really too much explanation.
And that's what, with the 6 to goes, what are they calling them for sometimes? They don't have to provide reasoning. And sometimes you're on the back foot as a team and they'll just go, yep, 6 to go. Yeah. And they're not consistent with it at all.
Would you think about implementing like a 5-minute sin bin instead of the 10? Because 10's a pretty long time for such a minor offence.
It depends. If they're going to be blowing the whistle that much, then do a 5-minute sin bin. But if you're going to go back to how the game is much better when it's least amount of intervention as possible from the referees, because if you sin bin a player, you're impacting the whole game. Like I'm so surprised when Victor Radley was sin binned that they didn't just put more points on him. The Dragons scored more points with that when they had 13 men on the field than they did 12.
It's not even that though. Yes, it's changing the game too much, but you're making small things look much worse than they are. And then when a much worse thing happens, it's not a send-off, it's just a sin bin. So there's no progression in what's actually a send-off and what's a sin bin.
Plus, I feel like they're going harder at things that have too much of a grey area. To go hard on a hip drop tackle, which most players do a game that go unnoticed and then only get penalised when someone gets injured or when they stay down. Of course, it's just such a grey area. So I do think it's been the worst officiated season so far, just on the amount of sin bins there are, for sure.
Yeah, that Magic round last year was a terrible round. I remember there being like 10 plus sin bins across the round, but I think a 5-minute sin bin will work for like minor offences, like repeated penalties or something like that, and then contact with the head should be 10 minutes.
But is there too many? Is it too late now? We're too far into the season to introduce a 5-minute sin bin.
Yeah, I don't like the 5-minute sin bin. I would only say if something's really bad, sin bin, and if it's extremely careless, that's when it's a send-off. If it's just a really bad high tackle, unless the player's going to a HIA, there's no need for a sin bin. And
surely like a bunker or the referee can just differentiate between what's an accident and what's actually a hip drop tackle or what's actually meaningful contact to the head. If it's an accident, just blow the penalty. That's how it used to be. High shots above the shoulder. Back in the 2000s, even as early as maybe the 2010s, 2014, 15s, is just a penalty.
When you play junior footy, the ref tells you, hey, nothing above the head.
Nothing above the shoulders, make sure your nails are cut, check your boots, and that's just a penalty.
I think the on report should be, I guess, the biggest thing that comes out of, like, so if you've got contact with the head, it's on report, you miss the next week or you miss 2 weeks or whatever it is. But leave that game 13 on 13 then.
I agree. If too many sin bins is affecting the games too much. It's affecting my multis as well. So please, I think and pundits like Paul Kent and the Referees Association have come out and go, no, we're going to continue with the crackdown. but it's not what the fans want. It's ruining games.
So, Volandis, get your refs in line.
Get your refs in line before you head over to Vegas. But that also brings us to our best team of the week. Who was your best team of the recent round?
My team of the week was the...
Just check the run sheet so you know which your team of the week is.
My team of the week was the South Sydney Rabbitohs, coming back in the dying moments of the game to beat the Penrith Panthers. No one saw that happening. I know my brother had a multi on Penrith, was absolutely heartbroken at the end of the game.
Poor bastard,
And
Caps.
I think it's just one of those games where Souths have finally got their leg up on a team like Penrith. All through the last 2-3 years, they've beaten up on the shit teams, the Bulldogs, the Dragons. And then when they come up against Melbourne or Penrith, they always fall short. So it's good to see them finally rise in a big game and actually get the job done.
I think they're premiership contenders just based on, again, how easily games can be changed. On any given Sunday, Souths can win a game. They're like Parramatta, who can beat the likes of Penrith or Melbourne on their given day. I think Melbourne have been very disappointing. I'm not going to shout them out, but I don't think they're close to premiership contenders at the moment. The way that they're playing.
They'll still get Paps back and elevate
they'll
their
get
side.
better.
They're lacking a lot of discipline. They're making too many errors. They're not the Melbourne of old, where I think teams like Souths, Penrith, even Para at full strength playing good footy are more premiership contenders.
Did you see, so South's Penrith round 2, South scored in the 78th minute and then they were, half a metre away from scoring in the 80th. 6 weeks later, 7 weeks later, they do the same thing in the round that just went by. They're finishing games strong, but they're not consistent across that 80. Once Souths can piece it all together for the full 80 minutes, I think that they're definitely premiership.
They've got the squad. They've got the squad to do it.
They definitely, it's all based on Latrell. If Latrell's firing, pulling his finger out for the full 80 minutes and not just turning it on when his team needs him, and he's done that in the last few weeks. He's been there. He's been taking some tough carries. It takes 2 or 3 players to take him down. He went over for a couple of tries last week. But my team of the week is the Dolphins.
Biggest comeback of all time.
We've been singing the praises of Wayne Bennett and the Dolphins for the whole season now because they've caught everyone off guard and by surprise. There's no reason for the Bulldogs to be playing this shit or the Cowboys with the squad that they have. And you look at a team of replacement players that Wayne Bennett's just pulled together, some veterans from Melbourne, and they're just playing good footy. Now, granted, they didn't have a good half of footy, the first half, but they came back. What a comeback that was against the Gold Coast Titans. And it's a credit to their coaching. They just when they're on, they don't make many errors. They turn up for each other in defence, and it's just simple ways to win footy.
It's funny, we did the top 5 greatest comebacks of all time just last week.
Yeah.
And in that week, they come and pull off the biggest comeback in NRL history. So, I mean, as the Titans, it's pretty shit. I think the coach is going to get sacked just because of that game, which is pretty rough.
He won't get sacked. They're very hot and cold, the Titans. They just need to find a good rhythm of playmakers.
Yeah.
I think they've got the forwards and a sprinkle of good outside backs. It's just, I don't know, finding the right... It's like what the Warriors have done. Warriors win 1 game, lose 3, very hot and cold. Now they've got a good coach in there. They're playing to a good system. The Titans just need to find that rhythm.
Poor Buzz said that the coach is gone.
Did you see Robert Jennings as well?
Yeah.
Oh, what was
How
that?
do you do that?
How he's lying down on the ground.
He just wasn't aware what the rule was.
I thought he injured himself.
No, both elbows hit the ground and he's like, I don't want a double movement. But no one was on top of him.
What do you think he was? Is that Oztag? Or
No,
where your
knees hit
touch
the ground, you got to play the ball.
Yeah.
Tags off. No, Robert, just reach out and put the ball down, son.
Imagine he had him anytime try scorer.
Mate, a few of
Oh,
them.
he ended up getting
Yeah,
a
I
double.
know, but at the time.
You could see that Nicarima was
yeah.
fuming.
And it was last tackle as well.
Yeah,
so
it was a try scoring opportunity, but they still got the W. Who was your player of the round?
My player of the round, as mentioned before, was Nico Hines, kicking the field goal to make it 13 plus.
Thank
Now,
God
I
for
did
that.
have it. I made it known. I did back Cronulla 13 plus.
It was in the TikTok multi this
And
week.
when Mulatalo bombed his try, I was shattered. I was at a wedding and I was pretty much brought to tears, not because of the bride, but because of Mulatalo. So when Nico Hines sealed the game with the field goal, I was in love. I thought, mate, this is the greatest thing ever. You're my player of the round. Nico Hines, thank you.
When do you ever see Ronaldo doing that as well, bombing that try?
Usually Ronaldo is a slick finisher, one hand put down. I've never seen him put the arm out like that.
No winger ever does that.
No winger's ever put in
Only
the classic
Rugby
Rugby
League
League live, like arm out try.
I mean,
But all of a sudden he pulled that out.
At least the game's realistic then. That's basing it off someone.
But we do love Ronaldo because him and Sione, guaranteed anytime try scorers each week. I think you could probably put a bet on them each week to go anytime they're crossing over. But we like to see him score tries. It was a meme of the week across NRL Twitter and socials. But keep doing what you're doing, Ronaldo. We'll try and get him on the show soon enough. My player of the round, we also spoke about him, Trell Mitt. Over the last 2 weeks, I think he's taken the criticism on board, and he wanted to make a statement over the last few weeks. He's been scoring tries. He's been taking carries. I think he's shown that he is, if not one of the best fullbacks in the game, top 3 fullbacks in the game,
Easily top 3. What a game he had. He's a beast. Every time he touched the ball, he looked damaging. And I know we spoke to Blocker Roach earlier today. He said, when you're in first grade and players are falling off you, when you're bumping players off like that, the strength that you have to be able to do that, you're a freak.
He's got the natural farmer's strength, because you got to think, these players are doing a preseason. They're doing weights. They're doing wrestle room. They're bashing each other. And Latrell runs up against someone that's been doing this form of training, and he's just throwing them off.
And then
like
the
it's
skill,
nothing.
the skill as well when he's creating an overlap, throwing cutout balls. It was his best game of the season. I think it's only good things to come for South Sydney.
I've got to agree. Trell Mick gets my 3 points for the round. Another big talking point of the round, this was doing the rounds on social media as well. Api Kairouz has had more losses playing for the West Tigers this year than he's had in his whole tenure of playing with the Penrith Panthers.
That's pretty slack. I mean, that's what happens when you move from a good club to a shit club. I mean, Api Kairouz, you're probably kicking yourself. I mean, he's probably sleeping well at night, getting paid where he's getting paid. Not that matters really though, because you're living week by week on winning and losing.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for him. I don't think I think he's still playing at a high level, and it's not anything. He's still got some quality players around him. It's just they haven't even been getting bashed that much. It's all been kind of close losses. I think they probably deserve that win. It's just it's a matter of circumstance. It also came out that Luke Brooks hasn't won a game for 365 days. I mean, that's got to be rough too. I still see him as a quality 7. And I think going into next year, you'll probably see him moving around. Now that Ricky Stewart's got a treasure chest of $4 million to play with, who knows where he's going to end up. But I don't know. I do feel for Api. I do still think Api Kairouz plays State of Origin this year with a losing record with the West Tigers.
No, I don't think his club record matters that much to getting picked for Origin. And just if you're the West Tigers, just guys, do yourself a favour. You can't be equaling the amount of losses over a 3-year period in the first 8 rounds of a year. It's actually one of the most embarrassing things for an NRL club. And you got to think maybe like, Api Kairouz, he hasn't experienced much losing in his career. To be able to move from Penrith to the West Tigers and this be the most significant thing that's happened in the year, it's pretty sad.
It'll be tough, but if you got 2 comps and you're getting paid substantially, I think it's...
Keep in mind his time at Penrith as well. He would have played, the majority of that Origin period too, because he only played, 2022?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he played through those losses without Cleary and whatever else, and that's still...
This is a successful club.
Yeah,
and on top of that, they're versing Penrith this week, so it's...
that's going to be what, 0-9 for the West Tigers?
Add insult to injury, geez.
0-8 and the bye.
With the bye. Okay, yeah, there you go. And then I'd like to see the next couple of rounds. Surely they finally get a win. Imagine Api Kairouz is the reason they get their first win against Penrith Panthers. I don't know. I do believe in miracles. It could happen. I've seen bigger upsets.
It'd be poetic justice for Api.
You touched on Kairouz on Origin. Are you not picking Cook, or are you
I'm
2
picking
9s?
Cook. I think you go 2 9s. You got to match what Queensland are doing. If they're going to go with Harry Grant and Ben Hunt, I reckon go with 2 9s.
Reece Robson's fallen out of the conversation completely.
Yeah, with the way the Cowboys are going, I'm not picking Reece Robson.
In the preseason, everyone was saying this is going to be the year that Reece Robson gets a crack. Damien Cook, no one really likes his play close to the line.
What do you mean no one?
People
like
that's
it.
what people bash him for. And getting out of his half, he's probably the best hooker in the game. But it's just, he's obviously fallen out of favour with Fittler. He didn't get picked to start last year.
I think you go with the same combination as you did last year. I think it works. Bring him on as an impact player. And Api Kairouz, I think he's still adding out the best hooker in the comp. I think players say that as well. It's just a shame that he hasn't won a game this season.
I think Cook gets 9 and 14 will be happy.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. NRL to Las Vegas. Peter V'landys wants to make it happen. We spoke to Blocker Roach earlier today. He says it's all but done. I'd like to see it happen.
He said it's a realistic possibility that the NRL could be in Vegas in 2024. First of all, why? I don't understand. It'd be great for the game.
I mean, again, it doesn't make too much sense. Do we have that big of an American audience? But it could be a way to grow the game. You've seen the NFL move games to England. Again, you'd say, why are they playing the NFL in England? Are they going to get a couple thousand people there? No. It's a spectacle.
They get an 80,000 stadium for it.
That's what I mean. I mean, could the
NRL
NRL
do the same thing here? I don't think NRL is getting a crowd in Vegas.
If they market it right and you show the big hits and it's an attraction, if you're going to go see a Michael Jackson impersonator or Cirque du Soleil, I wouldn't mind going to see two rugby league teams absolutely bash each other without pads. That's a selling point.
I think
it's as physical as the NFL without pads.
I think Peter V'landys is just mad on power. He's just seen the budget for 2024 and said, you know what? hey, boys, let's go to Vegas. 2024 Vegas is on me.
I think it's a good way to market the game worldwide. Vegas, it's a sporting capital of the world. You got your UFC there, you got your combat sports there. Super Bowl will be there as well. I think it's a good marketing ploy from Peter.
It's not really a place that Aussies can conveniently travel to as well. Las Vegas is a 14,
Okay,
15
you're
hour
telling me
flight.
a few of the boys that drink bloke in a bar beer aren't going to go, boys, let's go watch the NRL in Las Vegas.
Let's go to Vegas.
Yeah,
Let's go to Caesar's Palace and then go catch whichever 4 teams go.
Who would you
and
send
make
then?
and make a weekend out of it.
You got to send the
If
big
you're
guns.
if you're Vlandy, would you send the top 4 from this year
Yeah,
as
you have
like
to.
as an
As a
incentive?
reward, I don't know. I think you got to send the most marketable teams there. So teams with the most marketable
Big name players.
So Latrell Mitchell, I'd send the South Sydney there.
Penrith.
I'd send probably the Roosters there as well with their roster. Brandon Smith, James Tedesco, Manu.
I wouldn't be sending the Dragons just because of the parties.
And I wouldn't be sending the Warriors either. Just a bit too far out. You know, it's got to be an Australian team. You know what I mean? Let's send the Aussies there.
I mean, good luck to them. You said realistic possibility. I'd put my house on that this doesn't happen. I'd like to see them maybe do games in Papua New Guinea or something where they actually deserve a game. I think that'd be more.
Yeah, but
more
that's
than-
it's already grown there. The sole purpose of it is let's grow the game
Yeah, but
internationally.
they do. That's a good point. They do deserve a game. It's their national sport.
Yeah, but we just completely ignore
What about eventually doing one in England? Yeah, I'm sure you get a crowd there.
An NRL game would actually probably be a good idea.
Yeah,
there.
an NRL game in England.
But I guess they're only doing it in Vegas to grow the game, and we're already established.
I'd
in
like to see it
England.
happen, and we'd definitely get down there and make a good week of it. You'd have to send the boys down there the week before just so they get rid of all the jet lag. Let them get the partying out of the system. They can go to Omnia nightclub. They can play the slots, hit the strip clubs, and then play your game.
Fuck,
I think
imagine the NRL version of the Jon-Bernard photo in the
Yeah, exactly right.
I mean, there won't be as many $1 bills there. I don't think they have that kind of budget.
I don't
Yeah,
think,
there'll
I
be
don't think the
10
boys
cent coins.
have the cash to splash around. But a big controversy of the week was Victor Radley's sin bin, only happening yesterday. Again, Victor Radley, one of the most aggressive players in the game. You could see it. He comes up out of the line looking for the shots. He's an enforcer of his team. This one, again, I don't really see the contact to the head. He's come in looking to make a tackle. He's wrapped the arms, and you can see the head clash clearly. It's saying he could miss one game. He's going to go with the no guilty plea. But again, he was first to say to the ref, it's just a head clash. Why am I getting sin bin?
It's the dumbest call of all time. This has to be the single worst call of all time. For a player to have a headbutt be sin binned and then have the benefit of having video ref to go look at it multiple times and be like, you know what, we're doubling down, go to the bin. And then the arrogance to go, we're going to give him a week as well.
But the bunker can look at this. So the bunker's made a conscious decision to go, yeah, I've looked at the vision and he's made contact to the head and that's 10 in the bin. Could have changed the game. Very easily could have been a Roosters loss because it's very hard to obviously to defend a team with a man down. I'm so surprised that the Dragons never scored another try with him off.
Radley's come out and said it was a shit call.
Yeah.
He's come out and quoted that. But the thing is now, people are saying, oh, it's only because it was Radley that he got binned.
Is he getting picked on?
I don't think that was true. I don't think he's getting picked on. I just think it was a bit of a mistake from the ref, and they're just too arrogant to say it's a mistake.
Yeah, but are we going to be consistently getting sin bins and penalties for accidents?
No. I think this will be a wake-up call for them because it's with anything.
Imagine he gets a week though. That's
Yeah.
not a wake up. That's the opposite of a wake
I
up.
say
call.
there's no chance he gets a week. I'm just
Because
saying
I
that,
put this on the same level as Rapana getting split open. It's a head clash. It's an accident. He's come in to make a legitimate tackle, and he's bumped heads with the opposition,
but
not
this
intentionally.
is completely different because Marty Tapale said was reckless. What's reckless about or careless about what Radley's
Again,
done?
I think he fights it and he gets off. It's as stupid as a call as Braithen Astor when he got punched in the head by David Fayalogo and he got penalised.
Yeah.
It was just like clear head clash, shouldn't have been a penalty.
That's neck and neck as the worst calls of all time.
Now, again, this was just broken yesterday. Jack Wighton allegedly signing a deal with the South Sydney Rabbitohs, reportedly on $800,000 a year. It said he's taken $1 million pay cut. The Raiders are absolutely filthy. They've called on the NRL to investigate the salary cap. They've sent a salary cap auditor to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. It hasn't been officially announced. South Sydney haven't confirmed it, but it's all but done.
No, literally 2 minutes ago, official.
So it's official.
Yeah.
It's official now that Jack Wighton has signed a deal with the South Sydney
Yeah.
Rabbitohs. It's pretty huge.
I think this is a great signing. Jack Wighton's one of the quality players in the NRL. If I'm the Raiders, I'd definitely be filthy. I know Ricky Stewart is someone that's going to be really angry about this. I'm surprised he didn't go to the Dolphins getting offered like, what, 1.1 mil a year. But Everyone was saying that him and Latrell punching on earlier in the year. They're obviously great mates.
I'll tell you what, they won't be having it. They could have a pillow fight now filled with money. You know, these two.
Where's he going to play though? Is he going to play at centre? They
He'd
got
have to be
Ilias.
He'd have to be in the centre.
Easy centre.
Ilias halfback. They're not getting rid of him.
He's
Walker.
an Origin level centre.
Yeah, I'm just saying for him to get paid 800,000 as a centre is a big call. I think that.
But he's foregoing getting paid 1.1 mil a
Do you think-
season at Canberra.
Do you think Souths would have spoken to him a couple of weeks ago saying, "We'll offer. This is our final offer, but you need to withdraw from rep footy"?
No, that had nothing to do
I don't
with
think.
it.
I don't know what's going through Jack Wighton's head, because if you're not making this deal because I'm looking out for the best interest of my family, because you're taking a pay cut, and then
Hey, the best interest of his family is moving to Sydney, though. Like, what's there to do in Canberra?
He's been there for the last
Yeah, I
10
know.
years.
yeah, very true. But if you're taking a pay cut, that just solely means he wants to win a premiership.
Yeah.
Because how do you knock back 4.4 million over 4 years with Canberra at the age of 30? Now you're getting allegedly 800k a season with Souths. That means I want to finally win something in my NRL career. And with the roster that Souths has, him and Latrell together in one team, that's a premiership favourite team.
I hate that he's signed mid-season. It's the dumbest thing ever. Now the Raiders season is all but written off. I'd love for there to be a trade somehow where Jack Wighton comes over to the Rabbitohs early in the season, before June 30. Because really, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, I think the boys in the team, wouldn't really care too much. He's looking out for himself. He's made the decision for himself, his family, and the future of his career. I think the people that get the shits are more the admin side, the coaches,
fans
and
would.
the corporate, and the fans. The Raiders fans would be doing it tough for sure. He's again an Origin level player. Same with Suoliti. Do you play them this season?
Oh, you have to. If you're Canberra, you're starting him. He's still your captain if he is captain.
Your team's not as good without him. That's just say it as it is.
And a lot of fans online have been calling his form into question at club level as well. But you can't be in one hand being spoken about for Origin, and then another hand your Raiders fans saying, "Oh, he hasn't been playing up to scratch either."
Yeah. But I mean, South Sydney, congratulations, great signing.
Great signing.
Great signing.
I think it's a bit hypocritical as well. Why is there an NRL auditor now for Jack Wighton when the Sydney Roosters have been signing Dom Youngs and Spencer Lenius, and
After Brandon Smith.
Brandon Smith, and then re-signing Tedesco, and there's no auditor or any calls for action against the Sydney Roosters. But South Sydney make one quality signing of a marquee player, and all of a sudden we've got to flip the tables and go check the accounting books.
The Roosters have signed people below their market value probably their entire history.
At least the last 10 years.
All of a sudden, Rabbitohs do it once and there's a formal investigation. I mean, that's just double standards.
What I like to see in terms of re-signings was Nelson Asafa-Solomona. In the sheds, in the game, they announced he re-signed with the Melbourne Storm for 4 years. Great to have Big Nelly from Welly committing to rugby league, because there were talks he was going to sign, or he was at least had a meeting with Rugby Australia. But Rugby Australia is still going to continue going on this poaching season because they've declared their interest for Payne Haas and Nathan Cleary.
The Wallabies coming after Nathan Cleary, I think, is very dangerous. I think they've got potential to sign him.
I think it's a dream.
If I'm Nathan Cleary, I've won 2 comps, I've won Origin, and there's a World Cup for the Wallabies.
He's just won
on the cards.
the NRL World Cup.
Just won the NRL World Cup with the Wallabies on the cards. I'm going.
There is no way the Penrith Panthers or the NRL would let Nathan Cleary go.
Yeah.
I think they would even institute a luxury tax or something just to keep him. He's currently the face of the game. The youngest, best playing 7 in the comp. Probably he's earning the highest amount in the NRL. There's no way they would let him go. And I don't think he's even interested in going to Rugby Union.
It wouldn't be a money thing. It wouldn't be monetary at all. It'd strictly be ambition. He'd only want to go to Rugby Union to conquer a World Cup and be the face of Rugby Australia for a couple of years.
Like a Jared Hayne type of thing.
Going to the NFL.
He was the best player in the game,
and then going to the NFL.
Opted to go to
This
the
is
NFL.
trying something different.
It would be cool to do. It'd probably raise his market value up. He'd earn a crazy amount of money. I don't think he has that ambition to go over to another code and do it. I think he wants to focus on his legacy in the NRL, especially with how young he is as well. And why waste your time? If you look, I took the piss out of Rugby Australia on social media this week. I just commented on their post because they announced Marika Korobedi winning their John Eales medal. That's another rugby league player that's gone over and conquered that and won their best player of the year. And I said it today with Blocker. I was like, how many players have come over from Rugby Union and won the Dally M? I couldn't think of many.
I think for the John Eales medal, I think 6 of the last 10 have been
Rugby league players.
And the only other player was Michael Hooper, who won it 4 times. So I think the quality of rugby union players is slowly dying.
Could Nathan Cleary go over and dominate? Yes.
He definitely would.
Could Payne Haas go over and dominate? Yes. I think he'd
Payne Haas could go over to almost any sport and dominate.
yeah, he'd walk into their side. But I got to applaud Eddie Jones, the coach of the Wallabies. He knows how to make a noise. The only time Rugby Australia are in the news cycle now is if they're going after rugby league players. So credit to you. Keep doing what you're doing because you're getting them on the map.
He is generating a lot of interest in rugby union, and that's what his sole purpose is to do. They've hired him to make some noise, and that's what he's done. So, Eddie Jones, you're doing a good job.
Speaking of representative sides, Tommy Turbo has been in the news about him going down with hip injuries, groin injuries. He needs cortisone
Hamstring.
shots for the games. Is he still a shoo-in to be picked for New South Wales?
100%. There's no chance that he doesn't get picked for New South Wales. If he's putting his hand up saying, I'm fit to play, it's disrespectful not to pick him. Brandy came out on the weekend and said, no one's got a spot in the side. I didn't even think he said that. He said, Turbo doesn't have a guaranteed spot in the side. He has to earn it.
He's just straight out lied to everyone on television.
Why would you even say that for? If I'm Turbo, I'm taking that as disrespect.
If he's playing at 30% like he has been, and Stephen Crichton, who's scored 18 of 18 of Penrith's points, like it's a spit in the face to him who's playing career best footy.
No disrespect,
I
no
agree.
disrespect to Stephen Crichton, but Turbo at 30% is better than Stephen
No,
Crichton.
I disagree.
I disagree.
Turbo is a great player. He's a game breaker. Everything under the high ball is better.
Yeah, but you can even see
he's
he's
playing in the
kinda,
centres.
it looks like he's been very hesitant.
He's been.
When he made that line break, he made that line break over the weekend, and he was walking. Yeah,
run down by a prop.
Yeah, you could clearly see he's holding back a little bit. But in talking about that, it's just like Dylan Edwards. Would you rather an informed Dylan Edwards or an informed Reece Walsh, or go with someone that you know has done the job and has their spot locked in, like a Ponga or like in this case a Tedesco? Because you could argue Stephen Crichton has been playing better than Tommy Turbo. You could argue that Dylan Edwards has been playing better than Turbo. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that they haven't been playing better. I'll always say that they've had a better season thus far.
In 8 or 9 rounds, they've been playing better footy and are better informed.
But if you're picking for one game, which what Origin is, I mean, yes, across 3 games, but that game 1, if Turbo says, yes, I'm fit and ready to play, you're picking him, no questions asked.
You've got a few people in the comments saying that Turbo is far from his best and shouldn't be picked. You should pick Campbell Graham, Critter or Staggs ahead of him.
I don't like to say this, but they're idiots.
No, I agree with you. And I wouldn't be surprised if Brandy and Brad Fittler, like they did last year, and throw a bit of spanner in the works, pick your Nico Hines, and that's your surprise, and maybe they'd opt not to go with a Turbo. They have conversations with him and say, look, we've been seeing how you're going at club level. We want someone that's going to be able to go 100%. That would make sense.
What if he's just saving himself for Origin?
There's no way he's doing that.
There's not. If anything, it looks like he may just need to spend 1 or 2 weeks off and just get the body right. But I guess we'll see. If he's fit, he's going to get picked anyway.
Well, he said that he's been named this week to play, so he must not be injured too badly. I mean, he's just maybe holding himself back to not put too much strain on his muscles. But the pressure's on you, Turbo. I've backed you, so prove me right.
I guess we'll see. And Origin is not far from being named, and you're going to be seeing a lot of team lists come out. We'll have our team lists on our socials at Jon-Bernard K, at the JBK Show if you're watching along on TikTok, and check out our multis for the week at Picklebet at their Instagram. But that brings us to our favourite segment of the week, does well on our socials, Top 5. And this week is Top 5 Most Entertaining Athletes. I'm starting us off with number 5, Michael Jordan. You have to pay your respect to Michael Jordan. Again, we didn't get to see him live and in the flesh like many others, but everyone that did said he was the greatest basketballer to ever do it. Just based off The Last Dance and what we watched in The Last Dance, going off stats, he's the best to ever do it, but the antics that he had. He was a big gambler. He liked risking it all. He loved being the last person to take the shot. The free throws with the eyes closed, winning the dunk contests. No other players have brought more to the game of basketball than Michael Jordan did.
People routinely say it, and you saw it in The Last Dance, people just wanted to watch Michael Jordan play basketball. Whether it be seeing him shoot the basketball, whether it be seeing him doing dunks, dunk contests, anything.
Going over to play baseball.
The 92 Olympics, he went to Spain and everyone was bloody meeting him, greeting him off the plane. He's the biggest star and the most entertaining basketball player of all time. Controversial for LeBron fans to accept, but this is most entertaining.
Who do you have for number 4?
Number 4, I'm going with Usain Bolt, the fastest person of all time. Now, with the last name of Bolt and being the fastest runner of all time, it has to be fake. It's meant to be. For him to go to 3 Olympics, do his little thing like that, and win races by 10 to 15 metres, I mean, you're one of the most freak athletes of all time.
When you really think about it, running in a straight line for 100 metres. Doesn't sound that entertaining, but he made it entertaining. You just wanted to tune in and see him break records. You wanted to see him go sub-9 or something like that.
I don't think I've watched anything in the Olympics bar the sprinting. And that's strictly because of Usain Bolt, so he's easily number 4.
If only you could be so entertaining over 9 seconds, eh?
Oh, no, God willing.
I've done my best.
Yeah, at number 3, I'm going with Cristiano Ronaldo. Again, Messi fans might not like this, but again, he's the biggest, most followed athlete on social media. He's created an aura around his persona. He's one of the best to ever do it. The stats show that. But just his personality and how he carries himself off the field. He's stylish, he's charismatic, he's entertaining. And what celebration does Messi have? I've never seen it, but everyone knows Sue.
We've been to the World Cup and watched Portugal play.
Do that one more time.
Sue! That was a little bit better.
Yeah. We've seen fans lining up in droves to go watch him play live. One of the best things ever is going to a Ronaldo game and just seeing fans losing their mind because they're going to see the greatest of all time play. One of the greatest of all time.
Well, I mean, the A-League fans had a bit of a go at us the other day and called us some Euro snobs.
Yeah, I'll watch the A-League when the most entertaining soccer player of all time comes down.
If he comes down. Because we were there at the World Cup and we saw people from around the world, literally in droves, going through, walking to the stadium, just chanting Ronaldo, wearing his jersey. He's captivated everyone from around the world. But who do you have at number 2?
Number 2, I'm going with one of the greatest boxers of all time, Muhammad Ali. Boxing in the 60s, that's nearly 60 years ago now. He's probably still the most quoted athlete of all time. One of the most charismatic people of all time. You'd think he'd be a WWE wrestler for how much he spoke on the mic.
I think he almost invented the trash talk.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Something like a butterfly, sing like a bee.
Float like a butterfly,
Float like a butterfly, sing like a bee. And then everything else, Rumble in the Jungle, everything he did was just notorious for being the most quoted things ever.
He could cut a promo and sell a fight, and everything he did outside of the boxing ring was also something to watch as well. And that paved the way for people who are in number 1, who I have in number 1 right now. In the modern era, I'm going with Conor McGregor. This guy could sell ice to Eskimos, the way he sells a fight for the UFC, and just his story from coming from a no-name from Centrelink Island to being one of the biggest things in the UFC and really transcending the world, fighting Floyd Mayweather. That back and forth he had with Floyd Mayweather, still, without fighting in almost, a year, 2 years?
Yeah.
Still one of the biggest things in combat sports at the moment. And just his antics at press conferences, how he conducts himself on social media. He's funny, he's charismatic. He could sell his fight to just about anyone. The feuds he's had, Nate Diaz with
Khabib.
Mayweather.
He just, again, textbook, could cut a promo with the likes of Ric Flair, Muhammad Ali. In the modern era, Conor McGregor is the number 1 most entertaining fighter
undebatable.
of all time.
Even over the weekend with Garcia versus Tank, Connor's geared up on a roulette table, and a video of him has blown up just because it's Conor McGregor answering a question on the fly.
It's like his whole persona. He's like incorporated Ric Flair, Vince McMahon, Muhammad Ali all into one. That's why he's the most entertaining person ever. And I'm hoping he fights later this year so I can maybe go watch him fight.
I think we'll be down there.
It'll be a spectacle.
I think for honourable mentions, you have to go there with Jake Paul. Some might not consider him an athlete, but to get into the ring with legitimate boxers like your Furies.
No, to sell a fight against like Tyrone Woodley, who's been completely washed and break records on that fight. He's doing a good job.
I agree, yeah. In terms of entertainment, he is up there. Him and his brother, Logan, I would say, are up there with some of the most entertaining athletes in the world. I'd also go Nick Kyrgios. In terms of tennis, he definitely could have made the top 5. If you want to take a Muhammad Ali out there and go with modern athletes, Nick Kyrgios is the most followed star, or one of the most followed athletes in tennis on social media.
I think he's the second or third most active followed tennis player in the world. And every time he plays, you know you're going to get entertained. That's what I think separates Kyrgios from other tennis players and even other players on this list.
And he just says it as it is. He doesn't really care. You could just follow him on social media, see his stories. He does not care. He's unfiltered. He tells the umpires how he likes it.
You get people go down from Sydney and wherever else to the Australian Open to watch him play.
You saw at the Australian Open when he pulled out. It just sucked the whole air out of Melbourne.
Yeah, it definitely did. But that's our top 5 for the week. Check that out on our socials at Pickle Studios, at Jon-Bernard K. And if you're over on TikTok Live, give us a subscribe at the JBK Show over on YouTube. But Nick, AFL, again, great turnout for the Anzac Day.
I think they had a great turnout because their scheduling was just so good this week.
Shit on the NRL scheduling. Why'd we have 2 games on a Tuesday?
No, not even had 2 games on the Tuesday. I don't mind that. It's just have a game on the Monday. the AFL had a game on Monday, Melbourne versus Richmond, packed out 80,000 at the MCG, and then you look over the NRL and there's nothing on the Monday. Yes, people had to go to work on Monday, but Monday night was free for people to just sleep or to do whatever they want. They knew they could sleep in tomorrow or on the Tuesday. So NRL, they got to pick up their game there. I mean,
The scheduling in general, I think, around the first 8 rounds or 9 rounds of the NRL, teams have played each other twice, multiple times.
Yeah, it was the second time Penrith and Souths played.
Yeah, what's going on?
And
Who's on
Dragons,
the draw
Gold
there?
Coast have played a few times.
I feel like that's where there's just small things that the AFL does better than the NRL, where it's just like looking from a long lens. NRL, what are you doing? AFL, having that extra time in Melbourne on a Monday night, or even the TV viewership, it's just drawing more eyes to your game. But looking ahead,
Who's your game of the week this week for the AFL?
game of the week is the Sydney Derby. Your Sydney Swans
Oh, God bless them. Love them. Yeah.
versus the GWS Giants. Always a tough game. Sydney Swans should bash them after getting embarrassed by Geelong last week. But that's pretty much the only good game of the week. I think the rest of the draw is pretty average.
Yeah,
It's going to be
should be a good round of tips.
it should be a pretty boring week of AFL. But that's sometimes you get those weeks.
Yeah, now we're going to go over to our NRL round preview for the week where we go through our tips and picks of the week. Jaden, give us a go with our Thursday night game.
Thursday night in Cronulla at Shark Park, you've got Sharks versus the Cowboys.
I got to go Sharks. I think
mean,
that's a resounding Sharks.
Just
favourite.
on current form, you have to go the Sharks. But it's just Cowboys do have the talent to cause an upset here, which is what I'm worried about. But after what they did against the Warriors a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
I'm death riding them.
Tamalolo's still out as well.
Yeah, I
Sharks all the way.
think Sharks definitely get the win here. I think they're going to continue their good form, and I think Nico Hines is going to make a very good case in this game going into May that he should be the out-and-out 6 for Origin.
No questions asked, yeah. I think Dad's gone the Sharks as well, so it's Sharks all around.
Yeah.
First game on the Friday night at CommBank Stadium is Para versus the Knights.
Para versus Knights. I'm going Para.
I feel like I'm going the Knights here. I think Kalen Ponga starting, getting back into the squad. They've been very, very good this season, the Knights. They haven't got some wins to show for it, but every game they've been in has been close.
Again, Para have been very disappointing. They haven't looked like not in one game I've watched this year, bar the bashing that they gave
The Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs look too convincing and look like they can play a full 80 minutes. But I just think they're a better team across the park than the Knights. I think they've got a better pack, better halves. I think they should get the job
This
done.
is a 50-50 game that could go either way. I wouldn't
I wouldn't bet on it. If you're
Yeah.
watching, don't bet on it.
Newcastle coming off 2 pretty disappointing losses as well. So the Penrith extra time and then losing
Last
to the
week, yeah.
Cowboys in the last 5
Very
minutes.
rough.
And they've
very
been
rough.
travelling a bit all the way up to Townsville. It's pretty rough to turn around on a
Yeah.
Friday.
I think that's Para and Richard's gone with the Knights.
Next game, you've got Suncorp Stadium, and it's the Broncos versus Rabbits. So Adam Reynolds against his old club.
It's another tough game.
Yeah, I'm going the Rabbitohs. I think they're going to back up their performance from last week. Again, the Broncos, as good as they've been and the form that Reece Walsh is in, I still think they haven't convinced me that they're a top 4 team. And I think the Rabbitohs, with what they just showed against the Penrith Panthers, if they can keep that momentum up, and if Latrell is on, I'm going the Rabbits. this week.
Sorry to cut you off as well. So in for Rabbits, Tavita Totola, and outs for Brisbane, which are some pretty big outs. You've got Corey Oates, Ezra Mam, and Payne Haas.
Yeah. Wow,
That's considerable.
Yeah.
Considerable.
So that's your winger, your 6, and
Ezra
your
Mann
8.
getting suspended for the hip drop. Jeez, that's soft.
Well, I mean, Payne Haas got suspended as well, but didn't get sin bin.
Yeah,
There's no
it's
consistency.
it's rubbish. And
Very
again,
stupid.
For that reason alone, South will be favourites this week, for
Yeah,
sure.
I've tipped South, but Richie's gone.
He's gone the Broncos.
I think he's
The
just trying to
Suncorp.
I think he's just trying to be different to
Yeah,
catch
he's
up
trying to
me.
catch up, but I mean, it is at Suncorp, so you never know.
Next game in Canberra, you've got Canberra versus Dolphins.
Another tough game.
Just solely because it's in Canberra, and that Dolphins first half, again, they are a team that can deliver performances like that. I'm going to go with Canberra. Again, there's going to be some question marks around Jack White and everything going on this week, but I'm going to go with Canberra.
So you've got Rapana back, you've got Xavier Savage back, both for
Wow,
Canberra.
that's big.
And
Big
then
ins.
for the Dolphins, you've got Milford back, Edric Lee, and Kenneth Bromwich.
I mean, the only thing is here, these guys played each other in round 2 as well.
Oh, exactly. The scheduling.
And Dolphins
NRL.
won that. I don't see the Dolphins beating Canberra twice in the same season. I feel like teams have to kind of make sure they don't lose twice in the same season. So I've gone with the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders, and Richie has gone with the Raiders as well. So GIO Stadium, they're tough to beat there.
Saturday, 5:30 at Brookvale, you've got Manly versus Gold Coast.
This is a big one because Cooper Johns is in, Schuster's out. Now, Schuster cannot get a run of games at all.
And
Again,
Turbo's questionable to play as
exactly
well.
right. But again, Brookie, I'm going Manly.
I've gone Gold Coast. I mean, I'm not confident because of the shit performance they put in the second half of last week. But with the coach's basically job on the line, you can't bet against them. So I'm going with the Titans.
And Richard's gone with the Titans as well, not back in Manly there. I think Cooper Johns has done the job there before. Again, he's not, as much of a game breaker as Schuster is, but he does his job. Cherry Evans there. I think Manly can get it done at Brookie.
Saturday night, Battle of the West, you've got Penrith versus Tigers.
This is a Penrith Panthers
This is a tough one to pick.
29 plus. Whatever the highest margin is, if there's a 50 plus, I would take it.
I mean,
Luke Garner's playing, and then ins for the Tigers, you've got Brent Naden, Dave Nofaluma, no one else
yeah,
really.
but Nofaluma's coming in as replacement for Staines, not like,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
can't believe, a player like Nofaluma is playing New South Wales Cup.
Get him back to Melbourne.
It doesn't
Give him-
make
yeah.
sense. Like you saw, like Melbourne are strapped when it comes to outside backs. I'm saying looking for good talent all the time. Like he's a first grade player. I don't know why he's sitting down and playing New South Wales Cup.
Tyrone Peach is back in the centres as well, I think, with Tago out.
Yeah.
And then that's the only omission for Penrith. So, I mean, if Penrith don't win this game by 20 points, I think it's an indictment on
I'd
them.
love to see the odds for the game. I'm sure Penrith are $1.02.
Penrith
$1.07.
at $1.13.
Oh, that's
Really?
higher
Do
than
they
I
have any
thought.
outs? Do they have any outs this week?
Just Tago. But I think Tigers' somewhat gutsy performance last week.
Look,
is,
like I said, we do believe in miracles, but it just won't happen this week. And it's a resounding Penrith from everyone on the panel.
They'd need Jesus to walk on the field to beat Penrith.
Yeah, exactly right.
first game on Sunday, Warriors versus the Roosters
In New Zealand.
in New Zealand.
I know.
The New Zealand record this season is second to none. I don't think they've lost a game there
No,
this season.
it's like the
So
three-
you've got
three for
Wade
three.
Egan back, and then Chance is out with Tohu Harris and Juz Tavanga.
I'm
And
going to
Daniel
go with the
Tupu out.
Roosters. I think this is going to be the first loss. Again, I've looked stupid betting against the Warriors like we have this season. And the form that they're in, they've been playing really good footy. But the Roosters, again, have been very inconsistent. No Sam Walker still this week. Manu did a good job at 6 this week, but again, it was against the Dragons. With the team that they have, and Satili being back in there, you saw Angus Crichton come back this week. I'm going to go with the Roosters.
I've gone with the Roosters as well. I know the Warriors fans say I hate them and I'm never going to pick them. Maybe that's the case. But I just think with the injuries and the Roosters kind of needing a good game and needing a good win, they're going to probably win, and they'll win convincingly, hopefully.
Mate, the Warriors are the most vocal bunch on social media.
The Wars.
Listen, we acknowledge you. You are there. You guys are playing good footy. We understand that. Are you going to win the comp? No. Okay, just relax. We don't mean to snub. We don't mean to snub you. I will acknowledge they have surprises. They actually are playing some quality.
Are they going to
footy.
make the 8?
Yeah, they're making
I think-
the
I
eight.
think
With the way that they're playing
If they
it-
continue, if Sean Johnson continues the way he's playing, they'll make the 8.
Yeah, for sure. And credit to them. I think the system that they've been playing. Again, no Dylan Walker this week. I think.
With the head slam.
With the head slam, so I'm going with the Roosters.
But
And
again-
Richard, he's going with the Warriors.
He's just trying to go against me. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Look, Dylan Walker's named, but I think
He'll get
Juju's
suspended,
yeah.
yeah.
Last game, another tough game in Wollongong. You've got Dragons versus Bulldogs, and
This has probably been the toughest week to tip, I think, so far.
Every
this
week
year.
we've been saying that because we just can't get a gauge
No,
of
no,
who's
Dragons-
Dragons are putting up fights. So Dragons against Roosters,
And
like they compete every week.
Moses
and they're-
Sully is actually a very damaging player.
The
I think.
Dragons can score points. They can score points, and when they're on, it's just can they last the 80 minutes, and can they match it with other people's packs? Now going up against the Bulldogs, yes, they can match it with them. Kyle Flanagan out of the team this week.
Josh Reynolds in.
Josh Reynolds in. I'm going with the Dragons. As much as we love the Bulldogs, we do. I don't think they're going to be up to scratch with the Dragons. They haven't been playing that high level of footy.
Do you think Reynolds is the answer?
I think he can help. I just think just to change things up, just to try and generate something on offense. And that's why
He'll bring some spark and he'll bring that grub level of enthusiasm, especially starting this week. I think they're going to put the young kid on the bench,
Yep. Yeah, they have.
Carl.
So their bench is Curtis Moran, Jaden Ockenbar, Samuel Hughes, and Ryan Sutton. at the
Okay,
moment.
so it's just going to be.
But
he's
you've
going to be
got
playing 80.
Carl named at 20. So
I mean,
I'd like to see him come into
I
the
just
squad.
think the Bulldogs have had a disappointing run of a couple games now. They've had way too many injuries over the last 2-3 weeks. I think this is the game where they can try and turn things on. Seraldo will get them up. Josh Reynolds will get them up. Will probably bring a bit of enthusiasm into the week.
I agree with you. I'm going to go the Dragons in a close one. Dragons 1-12.
I'll take Bulldogs 1-12.
And Richie's gone with the Dragons as well. Melbourne Storm have the bye this week. A much needed rest for them. They need to recuperate.
Does Pappenhausen come back after the bye?
nah, he's still out.
It's good to see him there in the coach's box with the old mullet there. And even this week, you saw Cameron Munster mentioning it's going to be hard for Paps to come into the squad, even though he slots straight in. The way Meany has been playing, though,
was a
credit
J-up.
to Meany, though.
I feel like all Pappenhausen has to do is just go on one of those influencer chick training schedules, just do squats about 6 to 7 times a day. different sets, just build
Yeah.
up the strength in your legs.
It'll be good. It'll be good to see him
Where
back.
do you play Meany? Just on
I'd put him on the
for-
wing. I'd drop Warbrick
Wing
and put him on
or
the wing.
you
At
put him
14.
at 14 and he plays that Nico Hines or that meanie role that he was playing there last season. That's what I'd like to see. But take a look more at our Instagram page at Jon-Bernard K for more tips and picks this week. You can take a look at our multi at Jon-Bernard K over on TikTok.
Hey,
and
you
at
hit your
Pickle
multi last
Studios.
week.
I hit my try scorers for the first time.
Did you?
In the season. It took me 8 rounds. We had Ronaldo Mulatalo, Dominic Young, and Hamoli Olakawatu. So they got over. It was a $10 multi.
Wait, Ronaldo didn't score.
No, sorry, it was.
Sione Katoa.
yeah.
My bad. Either of the wingers. They're going to go over. But I got that over the line at $10. It was great to get that done. And I'm going to go again. I'm going to see if I can double down this week. So keep an eye out for that at Picklebet on social media as well.
Last week, Munster came out and said that, so just touching on Paps, he's back running at 80%, so hopefully in the next 5 to 6 weeks.
It'd be good to see him back out there. But looking over to international sports, the NBA first round is almost done. A few upsets. Nick, where do you see it going?
I mean, the Clippers getting knocked out today was pretty sad because they won game 1 and then Kawhi Leonard just sits out the last 3
He's
games.
sitting out 3 games, Kawhi. Again, apart from when he won that title with Toronto, I feel like he just hasn't had that hunger to go for a championship again. I know you can't control your body falling apart on you, but to sit out 3 games in a crucial series,
I mean, and everyone's
disappointing.
saying if he was healthy, they would have won the series. I mean, I think Phoenix are the best team in the West. They got too much talent, so I don't think they would have won. But looking at other series, Milwaukee's down 3-1 to the Heat. No one expected that. Heat nearly got knocked out in the play-in, so for them to be up
Miami
3-1.
being a dark horse here.
The Lakers up 3-1. I think LeBron's taken this whole Dylan Brooks saga personally.
Did you see him go up to him pre-game and give him a word?
He gave him a word and let him know, hey, you're mucking around
Yeah.
too much and it's getting on my nerves.
And then he dunked.
And no one, if you have any sense, would poke the bear. Don't
No,
poke
don't.
LeBron.
Yeah. Have you seen the locker room and all LeBron's interviews of the bat?
Yeah. No, I mean, the people have trying to challenge LeBron before, whether you're the Celtics or just other, even the Golden State Warriors, where they try to poke the bear and they say they're not scared of him. They've obviously caused a bit of a stir with him, and he's made an effort. 3-1. This is an easy win for a Lakers series. And to be quite frank, apart from Phoenix, they're second in line to get out of
It's
the West.
between them and Denver. I think Denver, they closed out Minnesota today. They look good. I just don't think they have the experience or the veteran team to actually go and beat a LeBron or beat a Kevin Durant in the playoffs. That's where they'll struggle.
Just based on the first round so far, who's making it out of the East?
Boston. Even though they lost today to Atlanta, Ice Tray.
Surprising loss.
Yeah, I mean, I did take Celtics in 7, so I look pretty good at the moment.
If they can maintain it.
What do you think happens in the Bucks Heat series?
I think Bucks make it back. I think Bucks down 3-1.
I don't think they can do it from 3-1.
It's much easier in the first round.
Giannis is going to continue to have to put up triple doubles.
Yeah, he had a great game last game, but Jimmy Butler just had a better game, dropping 56 points. But just being down 3-1, the next game's in Milwaukee, so they make it 3-2. Then they just got to go on the road and win 1 game. Then they get a home game 7. It's a lot easier than you
we've
think.
been watching it with a keen eye because it is an ideal situation with us going on tour. We're going to be at the NBA Finals. We're hoping for a Lakers or maybe a Phoenix or even a Golden State coming out of the West, playing against a Boston Celtics, or even pull my arm, we have to go to Miami and stay on South Beach. But if we could get a Phoenix and a Miami or a Phoenix and Boston, we'll be there for Game 3 and Game 4, maybe in LA or in Phoenix, and then go over to Boston. Keep an eye out on our social. We'll be making an announcement very soon that the JBK Show will be on tour for the NBA Finals. Should be very fun.
My dream final would be Lakers-Celtics. It's basically the Roosters versus Rabbitohs, but on steroids. Oldest rivalry in the NBA, and LeBron in the finals. They'll just top it all off. I've never seen LeBron play live, so to see that happen would be a bucket list item for me to tick off. So LeBron, keep getting angry at players because I love seeing it.
If Lakers go deep, surely, because I know that you're an MJ fan, surely LeBron
comes up
is
as-
GOAT.
He has to win. He has to win it.
If he wins the championship,
What, he hasn't done enough?
And then obviously putting that into perspective with the points record he just broke this season, I think he's done enough. And then you're talking to modern era GOATs, I think he's done enough. But we'll cross that road when he comes to it. He's got to get there. Everyone's got an asterisk on the bubble championship as well,
that doesn't
so
help him at
don't
all.
discount that.
I actually count that though. So
I counted as well. I would have counted a lockout season 1 too. But in saying that, going over to the NFL, the draft is the talk of the town. It's coming up on us. They want to see who is going to be drafted in your top 10. But the bigger talking point was Aaron Rodgers officially being traded to the New York Jets. Everyone was talking about it. You know, where's he going to go? It's officially happened now. He's at the Jets. Is this the biggest franchise signing in Jets history.
Definitely. I think they haven't had a quality quarterback since the 1970s when they won a Super Bowl, 1960s. So for them to get maybe the greatest quarterback in the last 10, 15 years, yes, Tom Brady won the Super Bowl.
MVP caliber quarterback
He was
as well.
It was MVP the last two out of the last 3 years.
In contention for last season, depending how they went.
He had a bit of a hand injury last year. But Aaron Rodgers to the Jets will take over. I think Jets have always been the little brother to the New York Giants. So for them to get a great player like Aaron Rodgers, they've already got a stacked lineup. They've had plenty of draft picks the last 2-3 years from when they were shit. So them getting Aaron Rodgers, a lot of wide receivers that he can throw to. He's had a lackluster lineup, especially last year at Green Bay. I mean, it's not an ugly exit, but it was just something that was expected over the last 2-3 years.
He wanted out.
Did you guys see in the UFC news as well? So Dana White came out and said that Whittaker's going to be fighting International Fight Week, and winner of that will face Adesanya in Sydney.
Yeah.
UFC in Sydney, I can't wait.
So Robert Whittaker wins International Fight Week. He then guarantees himself a shot at Israel Adesanya at UFC Sydney later this year. That's going to be massive. We'll be on the ground there, UFC Sydney. We'll be buying tickets straight away.
Where will they?
Kudos Bank Arena.
That'll be Kudos Bank.
If you're doing a fight in Perth at their arena,
You can't do a UFC.
You're not going to do a stadium. No.
There's no roof at Allianz, is there?
No. We're so
See,
stupid.
that would be perfect.
Allianz
that
would be good.
perfect.
Combank as well. I would even be a shout. But I
that's the
think
government's fault.
They do an arena show. But again, you're bringing the caliber of Israel Adesanya defending a title. And again, it would be sweeter for Aussies if it is a Robert Whittaker. So we've got to get behind Whittaker at International Fight Week.
They've given him a winnable fight.
No,
so
definitely.
he can definitely win this fight.
I think he'll be outsider for the fight though. I think
against Dricus.
No, Duplessis. Isn't it?
Duplessis.
Yeah. No, that's his first name, Dricus.
If that's the pronunciation of the South
I don't
African last name.
I don't want to butcher it. I'm sure he'll punch a head off
Yeah.
or two. But
I
don't know. Everyone in Australia, get behind Robert Whittaker because we want to see him down here in Sydney. Finally, we've had UFC Melbourne, we've had UFC Perth. We're finally getting one in Sydney.
Getting one back here.
You know, and geez, we can't wait to see the caliber of fighters we have.
Is that thanks to the People's Premier?
I mean, we did campaign for it. We were there on the ground in Perth doing UFC in public. UFC in public in Sydney. We've got some public locations to do it at. Be good to do it down in the city or somewhere.
Harbour.
Yeah, we'll see where we go. But again, UFC making the right moves, becoming an international sport, growing in popularity. We had that debate ages ago. But I think that brings us to a close of the show. That is prime time for the week. Tune in every week, 5 p.m. live Tuesday. We go live talking all things sport, all things rugby league. Also, follow us on social media at The JBK Show on YouTube. And check out our tips and picks at Picklebet. But thank you for your time and best of luck for the week. I think that was one of my best.